to the meeting of the Weare Board of Selectmen. We started at 6 o'clock with a non-public with police department, and then we had a meeting with a resident, and brings us to 10 past 7, and we'll start with Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment? No? Okay. No? All right. Department head, think you got something?
Real quick.
Okay, we like real quick. Well, real quick as long as it doesn't cost us a lot of money.
Didn't cost me any money.
Excellent, that's what I like to
Maybe a
hear.
complaint or two, but
Oh, jeez.
I'm just up here to ask if we might let the transfer station boys have the Saturday after Thanksgiving off again at their own time, like we have previously. I think we've done that 2 years in a row now. They can use Veterans Day again. That's a floater for them this year because of the way how it falls. They're only supposed to have 2-3 weeks to use it anyway. So that's my request.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to piggyback to that, see if you guys would do it. If not a big deal, is if you would maybe make a motion just to have that done every year. Then we don't have to talk about it every year, as long as it's their time. The town's not gonna offer an additional day. If it's not a floater like this year, they just have to use a vacation or bonus day.
Let me just ask you, have you had any backlash from doing it previously?
For every one, you probably get 3 that are happy they don't, you know.
Uh-huh.
You never make everybody happy. There was something online last week. Somebody was mad they didn't work Sundays, so.
Don't work
Yeah, I
Sundays?
saw that, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're
God.
open 36 hours a week. If you can't get the transfer station that amount of time, then too bad. There's all kinds of people that haul trash. They'll be busy Wednesday and they'll be busy the following Tuesday, so they pay for it anyway, but everybody else has that Saturday off. It's kind of one of them holidays that you can plan for, you know.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's the same day of the week every year.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know about the rest of the board.
I don't.
Yeah, I think once it's
I don't
known, it's
either, I
known.
just wanted to
you know.
know, or,
Right.
you know.
I just thought if we could make a motion to do it every year, then we could just plan to post it every year, but if that's too much to ask, at least we'll concentrate on this year anyway.
I don't think so.
I'll entertain it. I have no
So, you know,
problem.
make it clear that it's their time. We're not
Yeah.
giving them an additional vacation day.
Yeah, to use their personal time.
Their personal time. This year it'll be a floating holiday. Next year, I think Veterans Day falls on a Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, so they'd have to use a vacation day or something.
And they're aware of that.
Yep.
You don't have a problem with it then. So that Saturday would be considered their own time.
Right.
Okay. It's not like you said, not another
Not an
holiday.
additional holiday for
Okay.
them, no.
I'll make a motion that we allow that the transfer station employees get to have the Saturday after Thanksgiving from now until it's changed someplace down the road as a day off to go in conjunction with Thanksgiving the day after and Saturday. And it's going to be as their own time, not as an additional holiday or any other day of pay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? There it is.
That was.
That was good.
East Road,
Yeah.
Let me bring it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had that conversation today, so.
Yeah, we did.
I think, and John and I had a back and forth
I was
text
hoping to
regarding.
talk to you Tuesday before everything blew up, but I did talk to you today about it. So you all know we have a gravel pit on East Road. The access begins through private property, but as far as I'm aware, it's
Nope,
deeded
access is
right away,
ours.
right?
The access is ours.
So we've had issues off and on, but as late as Friday, I talked to the gentleman that owns the apartment buildings.
The kid doesn't. His father does.
Okay, well,
If you talk to the kid, you
I talked to
didn't
the
talk to
son.
the owner.
talked to the son.
Okay.
Yeah.
He came to my shop. I was working on a dump truck actually, so. Anyway, he was concerned about vandalism out in the field, said that there was cookies being, you know, done out there, and that the police department's out there all the time. I don't know if you are or you're not. So he wanted to move the gate forward. I said, I don't have a problem with it, but first of all, I should talk to Naomi first, and second of all, we need to all get on the same page, so that I have a key, the fire department has a key, the police department has a key, so everybody get in. Yesterday, I actually went out there because I have rented equipment out there. Tomorrow morning, I need to get going on making sand, so we have a big excavator out there and baling sand up with. I went to run it for a couple hours yesterday afternoon myself, and the gate's up and locked. So I went around it. Today, I went back out there to work for a little while longer, and of course, it's still up and locked. I didn't actually get out and rattle the lock, to be honest with you, but it looked locked. So I came in on some other business today to see Naomi and brought that up, and she had noticed the same problem, and so I don't really know what you want to do about it. I don't get in confrontation with the
Right.
guy. I don't feel that's my business. I'm going to go around the gate. He can't stop me from working. I do feel that it's, you know, public land. However, public doesn't necessarily deserve the right to drive out in our pit. I did tell him, I said, you know, I should be locking the gate, because the gate was out of the tree line. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it.
No.
Okay, so you go through the fields and there's a tree line out there, and there's always been a gate. One was hung on a maple tree, the other one's hung on a wood post that's rotted off and broke off. So we haven't been locking it. And I did say, yes, we should be locking it, because I got equipment out there and could be vandalized, so maybe I'll, you know, should try to fix the post. Well, he wanted it moved up, and that's when I said, I don't necessarily have a problem, but we should ask the legalities of it. And then he went and he took the gates that were out there, he claimed were his, he moved them forward, put them up on a weekend, and virtually locked everybody out. So
You can't go out around it?
we did go around it, but I can't haul sand around. I'm sure he's gonna let me in, but I just, that wasn't the agreement. I told him that I needed to talk to my bosses before I said it was okay. I didn't really care, but,
So this
I'm
is
not
what we,
getting a
this is what we own.
confrontation over it, I guess.
We
own
own,
the full road.
we own the full road into the back.
So for
And right
him,
now, there's
Why-
a gate across
Why is
it.
he fooling with a gate? It's not his gate.
so for him to put the gate
on our
up and lock
property.
it, it's locking us out of our
Actually
own.
illegal.
It's illegal.
It's
to do.
illegal.
Illegal. You
Very
can't
illegal.
Right,
block
Chief?
our property. You can't block
Right.
somebody else's property.
Right, law
Yeah, I
package?
mean, if it's public property, you can't block public access.
No.
Okay.
Or, yeah, you can't lock him
Well,
out.
and
from-
again, if that's where
It's
the
town
the
property.
road is, it runs down through there.
We had the gate, I guess you can point no better than me, Naomi, but where the gray is, right?
I don't, the scale to this is 1 inch is 317
I don't think
feet,
that,
so
I don't think that goes out to the tree line.
No, I'm not sure exactly where the gate was, but I'm sure if you
Was
went
that
out
the
there, you
tree
could
line?
find it. Right.
So he
We
doesn't,
hadn't been good about locking it, cause one post was broke off. We should have been, cause somebody, I'm not in favor of people driving out into the pit. There has been debris dumped out there and stuff, but I kinda was shocked about where the gate was put and when.
Mm-hmm.
So before there's an episode, I wanted to bring it to everyone's.
Do we have contact information for these individuals?
I will, I was gonna contact you tomorrow.
Okay, all right. See, like I say, see if we can get to the bottom of it. If not, I mean, I think I think the master lock needs
I
to be
don't know where you
taken care of.
wanted it put. That's
Well-
gonna be the argument.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'd be good at 30 feet off the road. Just to again, to limit the access down that road to our land. You know, I mean, the driveway section is our land as well. You know, so I would say to limit that, you know, at least get a couple trucks off the road, park, unlock the gate, et cetera, not right on the side of the road.
People hunt and stuff out there, and they need to be.
Yeah,
able to
and it's
park.
posted now, private property, but there's no name and address for you to contact.
Yeah, well,
So it's
that
not
all needs
illegal
to come down.
posting.
But-
Yeah, because it's, yeah.
Yeah, but everything obviously to the sides of that is not ours. It is
Either,
private
both
property.
sides of the driveway, it belongs to
Yeah,
senior.
right, and that's private property. It is what it is.
Right.
But-
And for you to drive off our road,
you're on
onto their
private
property to go around
Yeah, that's
the
not-
gate,
Yeah.
no, that doesn't cut it. So.
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
give him till tomorrow to get a hold of me and let me know before I ripped him out.
Yeah,
So you're saying you didn't mind the gate there?
I don't mind a gate.
I don't mind having a gate,
I mean,
but I
it-
mean, it's for us
But
to
it-
control the gate, not
Right,
somebody else.
it's for us to control the gate, not for anybody else.
Private citizen.
That's my
You've got an
concern
awful
with
lot of
where the
people that
gate's gonna
donated
go.
money to
I-
that.
How do you feel about a gate?
Needs to be a gate somewhere, but I liked it better at the tree line.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about putting 2 gates up, and then you don't have anybody driving down and
Well,
having to
that's-
turn
Always
around?
That's
the right
cumbersome.
people with the keys, you know.
That's
I
cumbersome.
know the Brown family owns property out there, they need access. More than one person needs a key. Obviously, fire and police and highway need a key. Unless he gave you a key, I certainly didn't get a key, nobody has a key. Not that you can't go around it.
But
I just
if you
think there
go
was an
around it,
awful
you're
lot
on
of-
private property.
But then when you
Well,
do
that's
that,
right, nobody chased me down, but I was waiting for it last night, you know, cause I went in my own vehicle, I took my son with me, so I went in my own vehicle, and, I said, boy, if he chases me down, you know, I'm gonna have a confrontation, cause we went around the gate, and I just thought to myself, this can't happen, so I come in, see Naomi today about something else, and got him talk about it.
Yeah, well, I think we try and make contact with them and just tell them what is what it is, and,
Well, I'd rather have something from you guys where you would like to see a gate or not a gate, or,
oh,
so I can.
I just,
I think it's a
I
good
just
idea to
don't
have
see
a
how-
gate.
I think it's
check-
my place to
We
say,
can-
all I said was I don't really have a preference other than everybody needs access to it.
I think
And
it's
I
a,
asked him personally too, I says, if you want that gate out front, you're gonna have a problem with people parking in front of that gate to walk out there hunting. He hummed and hawed, and I said, you can't block that off, it is
Oh.
public property,
yeah,
60
you
acres.
you
That's all
can't
it's-
why
block
nobody
off public
posted it.
property.
if you want to, I mean, I guess if the tree line works, the tree line works, is that
Yeah.
satisfactory, or?
and I think there should be a gate to at least protect the, you know, he's got equipment up there to keep it
Yeah.
from
Right.
being. But
Right.
if you like it at the tree line, I'm fine with that.
As long as everything's protected, like you said, that gives people ample room to park.
And
I
it
mean,
gives the
he claims that people have been damaging the fields, I don't know if Chief has anything to chime in
So
on that.
call him, right? Just call you.
But aren't those fields ours, not his?
No,
No, the
Right out
fields
there.
aren't.
Well,
A good share of the field is ours.
yes.
Yeah.
The front field on the right's his, the left field's ours, and the back right field's ours.
Yeah.
okay.
Most
So
of
that's
it's
the only little field to the
way
right is
down.
what his
Field to the right will-
concern is.
That's
is
ours.
his.
Driveway.
The rest of
This
it's
is
all
ours.
ours.
Right.
Goes way down.
Where's the
Oh, well, the
fields,
other
though?
fields.
There's the apartment building.
Yeah.
There's a little bit here, but we have a good share of it.
Oh, fields, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think step A is get fence, get said gate out of the way. Step 2 would be maybe if we individually go down there and see what we think for, you know, obviously tree line is your, you know, your idea, and see what we all think, you know, as far as, and then you know, where we're gonna establish a gate could be another discussion, but,
When
you
he
know.
came to me, I was busy and he got me off guard now, all I said was, I don't really care, but I need to discuss with Naomi and
Yeah.
I need to, he said, well, could you give me a phone pole if we put it out there? I said, if I have one, I can see what I can do, but I said, first I need to speak to Naomi.
So is the gate truly his though?
I have no idea, it was there when I started for the town, he claimed it was his, so he took the gate that we had and moved it.
That gate's been there, because when I logged off Charlie Brown's, the metal gates were out there at the end of the field. And that was 20-odd years ago. So I would presume Elmer had them or something out there.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like I said, step 1, get the gate out of the way, or figure out what's going on, and then step 2 would be to establish where the one should be.
That right of way's been a problem since we've had a gravel pit out there, and I'm not sure how to solve it, but,
Right, oh, I'm sure it has.
The only way you're gonna solve is pave it. You know that.
yeah.
Pave
Because-
it?
I'm not doing that.
I know.
Pave it.
Pavement.
Dust is a problem, so then I calciumed it, and calcium was a problem.
Cause the well's there.
Yeah.
The well's about 500 yards away. Didn't have enough to kill the clover in the field, but it's always been a problem, so now it's a new one.
Okay.
And I don't really wanna have to deal with it, to be quite honest with you. I don't feel that I don't want, you know, it's gonna be confrontational, I'm afraid, so I just as soon not be in the middle of it. Like you say, you said, then, unless the selectman said it can't be
Right
there.
down.
Yeah, well, if it's across our lawn, it's across our lot.
No, I'm just saying, a lot of, if you remember when we purchased this was taxpayer money, conservation put money in, Mildred
Right.
Hall put money
Right.
That's
in.
gonna be the thing.
Everybody put money in.
100
It's
years
not
from now,
every,
if they ever do build ball fields out there, then what are they gonna do? You can't have a gate across there.
Right.
That's
Right.
my thought.
Yeah.
I mean, so if we establish a gate there now, it's gonna be something we're gonna have to fight to move later.
Right.
And if you don't like 3 hunters a weekend going out there now, wait till there's 100 parents going out there for ball games. So I think there needs to be a different solution found, whatever that may be.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just letting you guys know, I mean, I'm gonna give them a chance to open it for me this week before I open it.
Are you gonna be
myself.
down there tomorrow working?
I'll be down there tomorrow working. So.
So
There you
maybe
go.
I'll take a ride down about 9 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
thanks.
Thank you, thank you.
Have a good night.
You're up. No.
Not yet?
Your budget's a no, so just,
Oh,
but
okay.
you can hand it over.
I'm good with that, it makes it easy. So I color coded this just to see what I did.
What happens if you're colorblind?
It's very nice.
Take it, that must have not been on the law package.
So on the last page, you'll see kind of how I broke it up percentage-wise. And I'll go through line by line, but what we'll talk about is, so overall budget for 2019 was 1.582 million. Based on what I recommended, I had an increase of 60,000. A large portion of that is a one-time expense because the computers keep breaking down, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So overall, department proposed budget 1.64, 1,501,000. Going through the lines, all the yellow represents salary. So when we talk salary, benefits, overtime, and my prosecutor fees, it was in 2019, 86.41% of my budget. It's gonna go down just a little bit to 83.87% of my budget, so that's a large portion of my budget, stuff I have no control over. Police chief, line 1, police chief salary, that's standard. Line 2, police salary, full-time officers, we're going through collective bargaining this weekend. Full-time administrative secretary. I do have an recommended increase for police part-time secretary wages. So you've heard me mention a concern is record management storage. We have one shelf left in our record management storage. What I'm proposing is our animal control officer has already been through a background. She's cleared, so she can work on records if we need her to. She'll do 5 hours a week to start putting the records together. So we can put them in an actual storage facility. What we used in my old department was called Iron Mountain. There is an Iron Mountain in New Hampshire. It's all the way out by Durham, but it's got to be climate controlled. We have to separate. You know, there's a whole lot of requirements when you're talking records management, and you can't do computerized versions, which just drove me crazy when I read that. Everything has to be the original hard copy. Arrest records you have to maintain forever. Those are the majority of our records. Accident records are different terms, but we would have to essentially box everything up per its category where it has to be stored, then alphabetize it so we can store it appropriately so it can be disposed of when it needs to be disposed of. So that's the kind of the system. Our recent records are pretty good as far as organizationally. Talking to Emily, the old records were pretty much taken from one pile, put in a box. So they have to be going through page by page to make sure we're matching up arrest records so they're retained appropriately, put in the correct box by year, and then alphabetized. So if there is ever a request for discovery or what have you, a request for information, we can find that record. Make sense?
So this 5 hours you're talking about the ACO, that'd be additional to what her
Correct.
current duties are. Okay.
Correct. If so, her call, and we'll talk about that when we go into the ACO budget, but Sergeant Frisbee looked at her call volume. She had 91 calls in the last 3 months that she could have gone to. She didn't go to all those, but we've had 91 animal control cars. So we have a significant portion of our duties related to animals currently. Any questions about that one? But so what I did was pretty much $15 an hour, which is their going rate, and broke that up over the year, which came out to a requested increase of where is it? $3,750. I was writing the wrong line. The blue lines are all related to salary, or I'm sorry, benefits. but police longevity bonus, police health insurance for line 7, police overtime. I'm not recommending any adjustment on that. It was $100,000. As we get more people on the department, that should go down from 100,000. We shouldn't be filling the number of shifts we do. The majority of overtime is from filling vacant shifts because now I've got 6 bodies I can put on the street instead of 7. So hopefully if this Hillsborough County Sheriff comes through, we can hire him. That'll give us another one. And then Sergeant McGuire, hopefully will get released back to the street soon. Officer Law Lewis is still long-term out. Sergeant Montplaisir won't be back anytime soon from what we understand. And we're seeing what happens with Lieutenant Hebert. So that's my, it's all based on staffing, what I have. Line 8, police part-time officer wages. That's Officer Blake. He's done about $3,000 this year to date. I would expect that to be about the same.
When did he start? Is that all year that he's been doing?
That's all year.
Okay.
As far as I know, he's been doing that since I've been here.
All right, because I've been hearing him out there. I hadn't heard him earlier in the year. That's all.
He was working pretty frequently for a while, took a little break.
Okay.
Due to some internal stuff, but he worked one shift recently, and then he was at our qualification day.
Yep.
Just this past week with us, where
Yep.
we all qualified
Yeah,
as a
I heard
department.
him this weekend. So.
Yep, he worked, I think, a Saturday shift.
Yep.
Line 9, police vacation accruals. No change in that from me. Health insurance, no change. Line 11, Medicare. Line 12, FICA. Line 13, New Hampshire retirement system. Line 14, New Hampshire retirement system. Line 15, police prosecutorial evidence collection. So we read the long line. We recommended an increase just based on what we had been spending. And so that line is pretty much anything having to do with cases. A lot of records management, a lot of storage for like seize computers, store cars, what have you, tow vehicles. So what I did for the recommendation of 8,000, it was 4,568. I just took the 3-year average of what it was. I'm sorry, I read the wrong line. The 9,000, the 10,000, and the 3,500, just kind of merged them all together and came up with 8,000 as an average. Just so we're in a better position and we're not going over lines. But that was the philosophy behind that. Line 16, that's the contract for our prosecutor. That color line represents all the contracts. I'm sorry, no, that's just her salary line. Sorry. So that's independent. And of course, she'll be going through contract negotiations next month. The next line, police telephone, represents building services, where I have that listed in. Building services represent, it was 2.23% of my budget. It went down a little bit, 2.17 of my budget. I did reduce this line a little bit when I reviewed the telephone budget. We were making a lot of calls on the landline. Apparently, a lot of stuff is long distance, so we were getting charged 15 cents a minute for everything we were calling pretty much out of the station. So since we're issued cell phones, I let the officers know, hey, if you're able to, use your cell phone because that's already included in the price.
Right.
So hopefully we'll see a good reduction on that. Dispatch, that's a contract fee. Nothing we can do there. Police recruitment. So that's background when we have to hire officers. That's where the majority of that line comes from. We maintain that as the same rate.
Now, do the investigations and the background checks and all that come out of that line as well?
Yes, everything related to that.
Okay.
And apparently it was a big expense for my background this year, so that's why it went a little
Had to
over.
link up with satellites and everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, spaceship, the whole thing.
Line 21, no longer used. Line 22, building maintenance. As you can see, expense to date, I've got a little bit less than what I was budgeted for. That should pretty much stay the same. I do have some proposals next year that will come out of that budget once I get up with Naomi and Chief V. A little bit of adjustments outside to make things flow a little bit better. Again, life insurance, that's a benefit line, nothing I can do with there. Police training, I maintained that at the same, even though it says we've only spent $3,900. Leadership training is a big area, which we need. I'm a huge believer in FBI training. It's called LEDA training. There's 3 phases. It's held local. But essentially all the officers I want to send to phase 1, the supervisors to phase 2, and eventually go to phase 3. And if I ever get I guess an officer development program where they can essentially, without going through the formal supervisor rank, where they can enhance their knowledge, that would be a course I would require. But there are different courses that I look at where I would maintain that budget line of $15,000. Police printing, our printing fees. Pretty much business cards is the big expense I see coming out of there. Didn't do anything with that line. Police dues, so we made a note. Some of the dues we do pay. A lot of these are my personal organizations, IACP, which is International Association of Chiefs of Police, FBI, National Academy. Emily is in an organization. We're in NESPIN as a department, as well as NAHCP. But we figured that, Beth and I figured out that line, $800 would do the entire line. Mileage reimbursement, that's just kind of a just-in-case line in case a car happens to be down or somebody needs to take their POV to training or to court or something like that. We didn't use too much, but it's nice to have $200 in case it is needed for training. Rubbish removal, that's a contract fee for building maintenance. Police cleaning service, again, building maintenance. I added this new line because I'm a big fan of transparency and accountability. And I'll probably add more lines next year so I can account specifically for what is spent on what. I've got this pretty much 80% of how I want it, but with all the things I've been involved with, I haven't got it quite where I want it. What I did is I took $2,000 from police supplies and put it into police building janitorial supplies for cleaning supplies, the water that we drink, because obviously we're on an old dump site, so we can't drink that water. We have to bring water in, from what I understand. But anything related to the building, the maintenance of the building, I just took money out of one line, moved it to another line, so we can just better account for what we're spending where. Police supplies, this is pretty much anything that comes up, equipment needs, $8,000. It's not a lot for officers, but we do a good job managing it. Of course, the external vest carriers, we got a lot of equipment with that, so we're still doing that. I do use some of this line on the ACO. I'm getting ready to order her equipment next week, and it'll probably be over $1,000 equipment. She's met with multiple other agencies to see what they carry. We've got a good list, and I actually got to sit down with her. She's got estimates on everything and actually order it. So to get her ready to fully go. Of course, we're still short a truck, so if I could release car 6 to her, that'd be great. Just throwing that out there too. We'll talk about that in a little while. Police radio maintenance contract, new line. It was split between the Public Works, Fire, and Police Department. So that's where that one came from. Police worn body cameras, this is by contract. So the current annual contract is $6,786. That will be consistent over the next 4 years because this is the initial year. However, we're already at max storage. We talked about this a few meetings ago. We're allowed 3 terabytes of storage. We're actually over that because we maintain all video records of 180 days. We could, by RSA, we could go down to 90 days, but town recommends we, of course, maintain 180. So when we go, they'll call us when we're at our threshold and we need to go up a terabyte. It's $750. So I've already added that into the budget. So we're set for next year whenever we do hit. And he said we will hit 4 terabytes. So we're good there. And then we'll just have to adjust to 5 or 6 if we ever hit that. Police computer equipment. So one of the things, as you know, when I came here, we talked about the website, how I want to redevelop the website. Later in the line, I have that in the one-time purchase to try to get funding to redesign the website. Again, better transparency, better accountability. You know, I'll put everything right on there. Crimes occurring, maintenance on cars, any information, but I'd like to get it a lot more interactive with the citizens. That's my goal. But to maintain it, the one quote, and I'm just starting to tinker with this, the one quote I did get was about $100 a month to maintain it. So I put $100 a month or $1,200 a year to maintain that website. Couple software programs that I've had to get Fox Pro so I can transfer deep, and that was based on Doug's recommendation, although I didn't like Fox Pro. I'm going to go back to Adobe when I can. But essentially, it's converting PDF to WordPerfect documents because all our policies are in PDF. So I have to convert them so I can work on them in Word and then convert them back over to save them. But that's what that was for. I think that was like $200 a year. Another one, I think was $330 a year, is a software program with the phone that the sergeants came across with. So if they have an open shift, they can put it in the phone and it'll notify everybody there's an open shift that needs to be filled immediately. I can't recall what it's called, but that was $300. But those were the software issues that we came up. And then we put in one new computer a year. So right now, y'all are actually ahead of my old department in one thing. Evidence storage, there's actually a scanner in there to scan evidence. So you scan the barcode on the shelf, you scan the envelope the evidence is in, and it tracks it for you. Only bad thing is there's not a computer in the evidence room. So this next year, I'd like to get a computer in there because Sergeant McGuire has to go in there, scan, come back in, load everything up on his computer, so it's not very efficient. It's a great system. He just can't use it how it's supposed to be used. So we get a little portable laptop, which is the 1500, so he can actually track that. And it's a great system, great setup. Will definitely help with inspections. So that's that line. Didn't make any adjustments to office equipment, furniture. I do know what we're looking at. For next year, the table in the lobby, Sergeant Frisbee expressed concerns because there's actually one, if somebody did come in there with hostile intent, that won't break up and shatter a little bit better. They can't smash the window with it, stuff like that. But he got a quote on that, but that's what we would do with that line next year. Police office supplies, this is just your general office supplies. Let's see. And we did the proposal based on what we've been spending over the past couple of years. We went with the approved budget, same approved budget, even though we haven't spent that yet. It's I haven't had the staff, so I do see that going. Even though I've only spent $5,000. Once I get back fully staffed, that would drive up the cost of actually doing business. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. IMC server maintenance, that's a contract thing. We have no control over what that cost. Photocopier services. Photocopy service, sorry, that's by contract. Police postage, that's just anything we mail. Police fuel vehicles. That is how much we get called for. Line 42, vehicle repair. So 14.6 currently on a $20,000 budget. I know car 8, I mentioned car 8 because obviously we're asking for the Tahoe. I think we're probably about $4,000 or $5,000 just on car 8 this year. Car 9 hasn't been driven, so we're not even looking at costs for that, and that's in worse shape than my car. Because I just saw one bill today come in from the gas tank for my car, and that was almost $1,000. Police book updates. So we haven't spent that. I'm not asking for an adjustment. Going through the cabinets, there's a company that sends out law updates. We were required to keep that in Virginia. It doesn't look like we are here, so I won't order those books if we're not, because you can pull it up online for free. I just have to find out if we actually aren't required to keep them, which would be great. But we don't really get any books that I've seen other than those. I just got to find out if we maintain those. Police vehicle equipment. So this is a new line. I did this pretty much for accountability. So what I did is the upfit cost in new vehicles. For future vehicles, I took that out of the warrant article, and I rotated it so we have to get the equipment in 2 cars worth. So if the upfit cost was $17,000, I cut it in half because we're responsible to get in 2 cars. So if we're doing 1 car in a year, which is what I'm projecting, half of that would be upfit cost. Does that make sense? Or do you want me to explain it again? Essentially, it makes us accountable to make sure we're taking care of our equipment because we have to get 2 cars worth out of each set of equipment. Make sense?
Yeah, so,
I can go into that more.
so the upfit once, and then you
You'll
try,
str-
you try and
Right.
transfer it to the next vehicle.
Correct. So what I had to maintain, so like if I did a car next year, which I plan on doing, price of a Tahoe is $34,000. We still have to pay for labor to install everything, which was $2,000, and when we have to pay for decals, because obviously the decals wouldn't transfer over, which is $1,700. But that would be the total cost of the car. Everything else would be in my budget. Because make sense? Okay, so that's what I'm looking to do. Give us better accountability, make sure we're tracking what we're doing, but keep the cost down to the citizens. Kind of, like I said, I want to level everything off so we're not up and down, up and down, up and down. This is what it costs to run the police department. That's where I'm trying to get this at. Police communication equipment, pretty much that pays for 1 radio. $3,000. 1 radio is about $2,800. That doesn't include batteries. Batteries are $65 to $75 each. So we're actually a little under, but we'll make adjustments with that. I can work with that. Police defensive force equipment training. So when we went to our shooting, I started getting in the trunks, and I've still got to go through equipment, but we carry the trauma plates in the car. We took those to the vet clinic. All of them are good. You're supposed to x-ray them every year to make sure they're not cracked, because if they're cracked, they're no good. We currently have 5 of those systems. We currently have 5 helmets because there's 1 in each car. The helmets expired in 2018. There's a 5-year shelf life on those. The guys didn't know that, so we got to get new helmets. So in the one-time purchase line, that's where I've got 5 helmets, $300 each, to get us back up to that. But essentially what I'm trying to do is 2 level 4 trauma plates per year, 2 tasers, because new tasers aren't included in our contract, and then batteries for all the tasers. Talk to Mike. They last about a year. It is what it is. They're not rechargeable. You got to test arc them before every shift to ensure they work, which drains the battery over the life of the year. And then you just have to replace the battery. Batteries are $76 each. And then you'll see $2K for rifles. So let me talk about that. So we have donated rifles. They could be gone tomorrow if the donor asks for them back. So we don't really have a plan established. This establishes a plan for us to get our own rifles. Now, how I'd like to roll this out is an incentive for longevity on the department. $2K is about the cost for 1 rifle. Now, the department can buy rifles, or we can have the officers go in, which they're more than willing to do. So if the department pays for half, and now I'll write this all up for board approval, but and we could just do 1 rifle a year. But if the officers completed 3 years, that would be my parameters, and seniority, they wish to purchase a rifle. They pay $1,000 toward the rifle. The department pays the other half of the rifle. They have to stay for another 5 years. Every year, they get credit for 20% of what the department paid for. So at 8 years, that rifle is completely theirs. They're going to take care of it because it's their rifle, and we won't have to replace it for their longevity. That also helps keep them here, which has been an issue. Make sense? Because that's a pretty good little perk to get your own rifle. And it also allows, because going back to this, everybody remember where I diagrammed this? So there's 1 trauma plate in each car, there's 1 helmet in each car, and there's 1 rifle if they loaded it up in each car. This car's already there, Officer Lewis. This car's already there, Sergeant McGuire. They're on scene. They can't get that stuff. They got to deal with what they got. This car went to the hospital. So I've got 2 cars for 7 officers with 2 helmets, 2 trauma plates, 2 rifles. See the math? So ultimately, we need to get each officer, eventually, we're not going to do it right away, but each officer needs their own helmet. So when they're rolling, they've got their own helmet, they've got their own trauma plate, and they've got their own rifle. And of course, I'm trying to do that as cost effective as I can. So we'll roll it out over 5-6 years till we get where we need to go. But, you know, it's a pretty good plan.
What's the lifespan of a municipal firearm?
This one that I'm carrying,
Yeah,
about 6 to 7 years, according to Sergeant Frisbee.
okay. I gotta say, I know it, you know, homeowner versus municipal, that's why I
Right.
phrased the way I did, so.
Yeah, so we just shot and we just all qualified. We probably put 300 rounds, I'm guessing, through these, and for each person who fired theirs, and probably another 75 through the rifle. I'm just guessing. I could look it up if you want, but that's annual qualification.
Okay. But the average lifespan 7
About 6, 7 years. So, and what I would do, so these are the only things the only piece of equipment I wouldn't roll into a life cycle management program. This would be a one-time purchase request as the town saw fit to get them. About year 6, 7, I would make the request. If it got denied, that's fine. They're not going to fall off our hip. We'll still use them, but you know, somewhere 6, 7, 8, 9 because the difference with these, we can't roll them out 2 officers at a time. We got to do the whole department in case we shift to something new. And I am looking at shifting to something new. Sig Sauer, it will still be a 9 because Sig Sauer only makes a system we have in a 9. But when you target shoot, you know, what do you see with the guys who target shoot? Sighting systems. It's all about getting up on target, putting rounds down range with an effective grouping to eliminate the threat. So we're looking at a SIG that comes with a red dot holographic sight on these that's already factory mounted for about the same price we got these. So cost doesn't really go up, but it sounds like it's a good system. What we're doing is Sergeant Frisbee, Sergeant McGuire, and myself are looking to see if we can go to SIG and get a demo on what they actually look like. We saw a YouTube video, looked like a good system. Okay. So that's where we're at with them.
Contact Captain Mucci at the Manchester Police. He works for them part-time.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Captain Mucci.
And he lives here in town, by the way.
Okay, great. But that's where we're going with them. So, any questions on line 46? Annually, I would replace in that line, of course, you know, I've got 5 helmets on line 51, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But annually, I would just do 2 helmets at a time. So we've got 12 people, so that's a rotation of about 6 years. And, you know, we'll get them as we need them. But 5 years is the life cycle per the manufacturer. Are they going to fall apart at 5 years? No. In the sunlight, in the heat affects, from what I read, the composition of the Kevlar.
Breaks down. Yeah.
And the last thing we
Breaks
want
down.
is, you know, a 6-year helmet and something doesn't go right. So, any questions on that line?
Nope.
All right. Police juvenile diversion project. So this is like our candy that we hand out with the fire department at Halloween. They're actually getting, well, you know, we were there for you.
We had to borrow some of your candy.
Yes,
I'll
had to
admit
borrow
that.
some of the candy. So we help out. The Boy Scouts are actually getting ready to work on a project that will go in this line. They're going to build our cage. So I'm actually picking up the supplies for them this morning. They're going to be working on the cage tomorrow night.
What cage?
Page for the-
Remember me talking about the bail? Okay, so if we have the old home day,
Yes.
they can lock me up $1 a minute, and all the
Yeah.
proceeds go to the food bank. Well, I need a cage, so they're going to build the cage for me tomorrow. I just got to buy the 2x4, so that's going to come out of this line. Some pipe,
Okay.
and they're more than willing to help out.
Perfect. Good labor.
Yep. But yeah, we're gonna, you know, that's a good line. Gives us an opportunity to interact with the youth in the town, see different events. Police officer uniform equipment. You know, hopefully I can start keeping the guys I've got, so that line goes down because we're not outfitting new officers all the time. For the record, Officer Muse did notify me he's no longer looking at Merrimack. He's happy where he's at. So I know that's been a topic a little bit.
Yeah,
So
especially what's in the paper this morning.
what was in the paper this morning?
Merrimack's looking for a full-timer.
Oh yeah, no, he showed me he said he went home and talked it over with his wife, and he's going to stick with us. So,
Good.
yes,
Like to
very
hear.
well.
Very good.
I like to hear.
Glad to hear it.
Absolutely.
Yep, I was glad to hear it as well. He's a great officer.
Yep.
Ballistic vests, as you know, these expire every 5 years, so we need to get off on a life cycle management program. I had estimated them at $880 each. I just got Hatch's bill was about $1,100, so a little bit more. But 5 years, they're good for 5 years. Hatches didn't fit anymore, so we had to get him one, a little out of cycle. But you know, it is what it is. And then of course we had to get one for Officer Hunter. And then I brought my vest with me, so that saved us a little bit of money. I'm still waiting on my carrier. That's why you haven't seen me in it. They're taking a while. Police uniform allowance, that's by contract. One-time purchases. So I've got 3 purchases in that. 5 helmets. Now, we mentioned the 2 terminals have already gone down. I figure we could put the line here. If they go down, at least we've got the money set aside. If they don't go down, that's fine. It goes back to the taxpayers. But I don't know how y'all do that. We were just trying to account for it in case those other 3 computers go down because they're coming up on the end of the cycle. And then, of course, $5,000 was the one quote I got for the website. Whether I can get a better quote, I'm still looking at that. I've just started tinkering with that.
It's a number.
So those were the one-time purchase requests. Police uniform maintenance, dry cleaning, that's by contract in the CBA. And of course, I think I mentioned what I'm trying to do with that, switching the guys, since we're doing the external carriers, to a different shirt where they don't have to be clean at the rate that we were cleaning them. So that should go down a little bit. And I told them, it's a benefit. You're getting the better equipment. So take it easy on the cleaning bill for me. And then, of course, medical gear. We have a trunk full of medical gear just in case, which obviously we saw we needed. So we go to a lot of calls. One of them doesn't know it, but they're going to be designated my medical officer, who will start inventorying that and making sure we coordinate with fire and get good stuff. So
AED pads and gloves and.
we have 3 AEDs that they carry on the street with them. They have used them. I've read a couple of reports on the street. So
I've seen them use them.
yeah. They're good. But, every time we use it, we have to replace the supplies on them, so that's that line, is what it is. And obviously, we're not over, so. Overall, it was a $59,000 increase, but again, 24.5 of that was the one-time purchase, so.
And there's almost 20,000 in retirement.
Right, so I kept it pretty even keeled, and I got everything off of the cars in the line rather than in the warrant article for the future, which I think is a big benefit.
Well, if the stuff can be reused.
Yes.
Right.
Well, it makes us reuse it because,
Right.
you know.
Well, unfortunately, if they redesign the inside of the.
No, the Tahoe's been pretty.
Yeah.
I read that
Since
they've been
07,
pretty.
08, yeah.
Yeah, they get years out of those things.
Right.
They've been a long time vehicle for police departments, which I was looking for, something that's going to be reliable. Any questions?
Board have any questions?
Very well presented.
Well, that was just a brief. I'm getting ready to present now. I was just giving you all an overview. All right,
thanks.
so line 1. No.
Finance committee members. Anything to say? Got one.
Of course.
Thank you, Neil Kirk. Chief gave a good presentation, very helpful, nice format here. Helpful with having the percentages rather than having to calculate them. Couple of questions. Are we using 100% of the salary line? Because some of our officers are not here. I don't understand exactly how much they get paid from salary and how much they get paid from elsewhere. We also have a vacancy. If that's not likely to be filled, perhaps the board would want to look at changing that line. Secondly, on that same line, the weekly expense in 2019 was $12,000, and yet for the 53rd week, it's only an $8,000 increase. I'm not quite sure why that's the case.
What line are you
What
on?
line are you talking about?
Sorry,
Second
line 2.
Line
two.
2.
So you broke it down to 52 weeks.
Dividing
53.
636 by 52 is 12,000 and change.
Right.
and he's only adding 8, and just don't know why. And just a general comment, this is a year in which there's probably going to be a police contract. He's already at a 3%, more than 3%, 3.75% increase. Salaries are a significant portion, 50% or more. Yeah. The total is 86% of his budget is labor, and salaries for officers are 50%. If you're going to have a contract, that's going to add arbitrarily 3% or something. Now you're talking about almost a 7% increase. So one of the things the board might want to consider is reducing the budget so that the contract has a greater likelihood of passing. Thank you.
Care to comment?
Yeah, sure. The 2 vacancies, so one is Sergeant Montplaisir. We're not expecting him back until 2021. However, he can come back technically anytime. He's on military orders, they can cancel his orders, so we still have to keep that budget there in case he does come back, from what I understand. The vacancy, I plan on filling probably at the beginning of the new year. The person who's applying for that vacancy is going to the oral board on Thursday. As soon as he completes the oral board, he's getting a PT test and he's going right into his polygraph, and he's already started his background paperwork. The whole process took about 2 months with Officer Hunter. I'm expecting that same length as long as he passes anything, and then he'll come on. So he should, as soon as Officer Hunter finishes field training with Officer Muse, this next individual should roll right in, right behind him, and then we're at full strength.
And yeah, that'll fill your complement.
That's sorry?
That will fill your complement.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I'll be at 12
So
bodies.
Yeah, so you'll need that entire
Correct, yes.
line. And where'd the 8,100 come from? Well, at $12,000 a week. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't do that math.
Well, it's the difference in wages from the ones that were here back in 2019 to the ones that we have currently. And then we have 53 weeks next year.
There it is.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can control the percentages. So my goal is to get a level budget on what we need. I can't control the CBA, that's outside mine. I can only control the equipment, the training, what we need, and the direction the department goes. So I think 3.75% is reasonable. If you take the one-time purchases out, because like I said, 18,000 of that is just in case the computers go, because we've already seen 2 go. You take that out, and then what am I down to? Probably about 2%. I can figure it out real quick.
Well, my recommendation would be, and this is only me as one member, is if the budget does pass with those in there, replace them.
Okay, and that's fine too.
Don't just think about it and hold it, replace them.
Well, like I said, I want
Because
to get my full use out of what we got, and I'm
Right.
fine with that. But it's not, if it does go down, it takes.
Well,
us
we've
about a
already
week
had
to-
2 crash, so
Sure.
it might as well just get the other ones.
Okay.
But that's just my own opinion. That's one. Board? Finance Committee? Yeah.
Hi, James Drury. Just real quick, on line 35, where we talked about designing a website, 5,000 doesn't seem overly large to have a legitimate website on there, but I'm just curious, does that work with the town sites, or is this going to be completely separate?
Standalone.
Standalone, everything?
I would like it to be on the town site. I don't have the experience to tell you what it's going to look like. I want it more user friendly. So if
Sure.
somebody goes to the website, they can see what the police department's doing, what kind of community outreach do we have coming up, what kind of information do they have for prevention, what kind of crimes are we seeing,
Yep.
what kind of statistics are we up and down, a bio on all our officers as well as contact information, maintenance reports for all of our vehicles. I'd like all of that on there.
No,
Highly
it
transparent.
makes sense, and I like,
the forms.
and I like the idea that, I'm just
It
curious
sounds
how
standalone.
it works, or could that work with our existing town stuff that we've already paid to have a fair amount of infrastructure for it.
It sounds to me like the idea is a standalone with, obviously, just, if you want PD from the town site, it's a link to the Weare PD
Yeah.
site.
All right,
Right.
just looking for a little
Yeah.
clarification.
Yep.
Yep.
Tom, questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
And we'll
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got one more
I
to
think
do.
you color code hers. Do you have one of hers?
Oh.
Sorry. Hers was kind of simple.
Well, you'd like to think.
Now, I will give you, does everybody have a copy? No? Sorry. Thank
I
you.
don't have a single copy.
You don't have it, I don't think.
No, we didn't get that one.
We don't have one, right?
Don't give them all out.
Oh, I was going to.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Sir? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, to you, and yes, sir, to me.
I know.
All right. So, not too many changes in her budget. Like I said, we'll see how it goes over next year. She's had a lot of calls in the last 3 months. You've seen her weekly report. We're tracking it. Big time accountability in her weekly report, where we broke it down into her calls for service, her training, any meetings, everything's broken down, so we know exactly where we're spending the money on that. Hourly wages, that's already set. Medicare, FICA, professional services. So that's going to be SPCA fees. I've assessed the current building down by DPW. It's not a viable option to maintain a dog because it doesn't have running water. It can't be sterilized. I've got a lot of experience in that area. I've done 3 tours in my old department's canine unit where we built our own kennels, so we were well versed in what it took as well as what kind of diseases dogs could get. I won't. But
Can we put water in that building, though?
it would be great, but I also saw a lot of rot in that building.
That building's gonna age.
It's
Yeah.
the thing is, it doesn't have a septic system either. So our animal control unit actually got shut down by the EPA because obviously dogs urinate and defecate in the back of cars. So they were pulling up on the curb to elevate their truck at an angle where they were washing them out. The feces was going on the ground, and they shut our animal control unit down. We don't have a septic system at that building, so we would have to ask that too. Now, what that means, where we designed our own, is pretty much you take a 55-gallon drum, you run an 8-inch pipe to it, put gravel in it, and that size of a building, you'd probably need 2 of those, and that's all it would take. The problem is there's roads all around there where I don't know where you would run it. So it seems like it would be much easier to design it how it's supposed to be designed rather than using that.
Start over. Take
Right. Because, all this is, you're talking a slab and concrete blocks with a roof, heat and cool and water. And that's another problem with that building. So our canine dogs suffered a lot of injuries when we had chain link fences because they can get to each other through the fences. So we had a lot of them with half ears, bit feet, where it put them out of service. We've got the same thing. We get an aggressive dog, especially with a quarantine dog, it can't be separated from the other dogs. So you'd have to have a concrete wall, just a cinder block wall, straight down one kennel. And then it would be 2 kennels with an outside area. Not a hard design. It shouldn't be very expensive. But that's the direction I would go next year. We would have to plan it. But that's the direction. But the reason I have the fees in there for SPCA, we don't have a facility to hold them. Temporarily, my officers hold any kind of found animals in our jail cells as a courtesy. If we can get to the owner fairly quickly, we'll hold them so they can come pick them up. If we can't, the only place we can take them is SPCA. If the owner refuses to come pick them up, the town has to pay, is how that works. If it's a quarantine animal, it's $250. Otherwise, it's SPCA fees. So that's why we have that line there.
Charge a day.
I have all that. It's actually part of an ordinance, which I'll be presenting to y'all at a later date.
Okay.
Caitlin's done a good job. I just haven't been able to get to it. She's rewritten the ordinance, and it says right what the town fees are, and they mirror SPCA fees. We just don't have a viable facility to house them here.
Right. And I think they would probably get better care at the SPCA.
Yeah, they have a better coverage too.
Right,
with-
better coverage, right?
Right, yeah. And, yeah, no, I won't go with that. So we had AC electricity. I had Beth shut that off because we're not even using that building. I was seeing the monthly fee for $16 for some reason, so, yeah, we had that shut off. Meeting seminars, $1,000. She belongs to a couple organizations where she goes to those those,
Seminars.
thank you, seminars, and which is kind of important since she doesn't have any peers at our level. She needs to go find out what the industry standard is for her. So we fully support her training in there and going to her conferences. Printing. So that's a new line, and I put that line in there because she just did 3 forms, and the 3 forms, I think we spent about $500 or $600. I just took it out of my line because she didn't have this line. She also has a couple more forms that she has to do, and that's per the current ordinance on there, notification of dog at large, vicious animals, stuff like that. But she had none of those forms. So we added a $500 budget for her lines, which would be about 2 forms worth if she were to print them out with the local printer here. Supplies, that was a pretty good budget line. No, I'm sorry, 20. So I'm getting ready to buy her supplies, so $250 would just be replacement supplies. I think that should cover it. I don't think she would go over that. I saw a good kennel that I'm going to try to get tomorrow for her, which doesn't have seams. Typically, if the kennels have seams, they tend to break more. So if I can get that for her, she should be good for a kennel for a while.
And that would be for holding at the station.
That would be a transport kennel. The only place we have to hold at the station is a
Jail cell.
jail cell.
Okay. Transport count, okay.
But like I said, we were looking at the town truck, and this goes back to the vehicle. We were looking at the town truck. She went to get in today, and the airbag light was off, so she can't drive that. We really need to get approval to turn 6 into her car, so we can outfit that. Also, in regard to her salary, so if the town truck was an option, which she can't use Mondays and Wednesdays because we're sharing it, but if the town truck was an option, she got a call for service, and we've had 90 of those in 3 months. She would have to respond from home, go to town hall, pick up the car, go to the police station, pick up all her equipment, and then go to the call. And then when she's done with the call, go back to the police station, drop off the equipment, go back to town hall, drop off the car. So that's adding 45 minutes to an hour every call, and we've had 90 of those. I'm sure you can do the math. It's, we need to get her car. Because we're just adding time. She's hourly, so we're just adding time.
What are these calls? Are they like dogs running loose?
Most of them are dogs on the roadway, which obviously we have to respond to because that's a traffic hazard. I have heard cows on the roadway once, which I got a kick out of.
That's,
Yeah.
that's a
I came
quite
here for
often
those kind of
one.
calls, like I was telling Neil. So, some vicious animals. She's out there serving paperwork now for where the veterinarians would notify her. There's a process. She gets notification that essentially there's an animal in Weare that's housed in Weare that hasn't been licensed yet. So she'll go deliver them a notice. That's what the first printing was. Hey, you didn't license your dog. You knew you were supposed to. There's a $25 fee, and you got to license your dog. And if you don't, you're going to get the next paper, which enhances that. So, safety medical gear. Obviously, you need that. She got rabies shots, so good for her there. We took that preventative measure. I like the officers get vests so you can get your rabies shots. I guess that was fair. We are putting a body-worn camera with her. She's already had a couple incidents where it was good to have that. It cleared one complaint, and there was another gentleman who probably could have got charged with disorderly conduct and littering. That would have been on camera. It was on camera, so the sergeants were opposed to her getting a camera until they saw that second incident. It's like, no, you're getting a camera. Which is another reason I wanted to put her in uniform, which we did. So she's easily identified. Fuel for the vehicle is what it is, $1,200. We'll see how it goes. It's based on the number of calls she gets. Vehicle maintenance tires, $1,000. Reason I'm recommending 6, we know how we've taken care of that vehicle. The officers do a great job of taking care of the resources that the town, pays good money into to give us. That vehicle should last her, hopefully another 5 or 6 years. Starting to show some signs of corrosion, but that's about it. It drives very well. So, and then shelter maintenance, 0, because like I said, we don't really have a shelter currently. So then there's her budget.
Okay. Board have any questions?
No, pretty cut and dry.
Finance Committee, any questions on the ACO budget?
So just, and long-term planning, just showing them, so the guys told me eventually the police department's supposed to have its own building. Probably a couple, well, I know that's down the road. I'm not asking for a new building.
Way down the road.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, radio's priority. Nobody's arguing that. But if we're gonna build a kennel, we should identify where we're gonna eventually put the police department and look at putting a kennel at that location.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, we've been looking at those steel buildings for you.
It's all good.
More coming
I'm
up
happy to just be here.
There's one coming up in the auction.
Shish.
Very good.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Meeting minutes.
Table.
Table. Okay, manifest. That's me. All right.
But you have an issue,
We do have an issue. You're right.
so you're not gonna do your payables.
Correct. I'm gonna do payroll and everybody else.
Okay.
Can we can strike that one.
Can't you take out the check?
Can we take out that and deduct the amount?
I don't think you can, it's part of the credit card.
Okay. Can we take
Right.
the whole? Yeah.
It's part of what?
The
Part of the
credit card.
credit card.
So you can take the whole
It's
credit
a
card?
Oh, you have
citizen,
to
it's a
take the whole
citizen, you have to
credit
take
You have to take the whole
card.
Citizens Bank credit card out.
You do?
Okay. All right. Well. I don't know. I mean, we've only done this once or twice. As far as no, we've only done it once or twice. Where the board cannot come to a majority to vote it through. And I just can't remember how I think we pulled the check for that individual or whatever it was for that individual item.
Yeah, because you cannot not pay everything else on the manifest if you have one issue, so.
Correct. So theoretically, we should pull that one
One item.
I know the one item you're gonna pick is part of the $4,000 credit card bill.
Right.
If
you
there's
can't-
if there's a question about it, then deduct the amount that's,
Well, you're gonna have to void the check.
yeah. Void the check and then we have to reissue a whole.
Actually, when does interest start on that? Can you check that, Jack?
I'm sure we've got interest on all of them. Just because that's my credit card you're talking.
Right. And Benji's. Right.
Oh, I don't know,
It's all yours.
probably.
What are you
He
gonna
had to
do?
use mine because his, there was a freeze put on his. So he had to use mine for that purchase. And then the cable uses mine, so.
Right.
This is the one here, right?
Yeah.
Well, the cable, I don't have a
But I-
problem with because it was approved, but
But I don't think you can pull that one, like she said, I don't think you can pull that one because it's
It's already been
combined.
paid for. too.
Yeah.
It's combined under that one.
One
I
credit
think
card.
you- I don't know.
Right.
So you'd have to pull the whole check for that.
Yeah.
Correct. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so,
And rewrite the check for the other amount. But then again, it rolls back to the purchase has already been made.
right.
It's already in this.
They're already here.
They're already here, being utilized. But how do we enforce this?
Yeah, but I mean, that's getting stale.
What?
Oh, no, I understand that.
No,
No,
that's getting
th-
stale, that we keep
This goes
doing
on
it,
over
and
and over and
and
Right,
that
and
keeps
then we-
happening too.
Right, and
so-
then we keep letting it happen.
Exactly.
So at some point, we gotta stop. And I don't know where that is.
Well, they're coming on the 18th to do the budget.
Well, again,
You can hold it till the 18th.
I think we hold that to the 18th.
You have to pull the whole bill, you have to pull the
Yeah,
whole credit card.
and rewrite the check for the other amounts that were on there.
that's
Which will
what,
be the 18th.
So when we do this though, we approve,
You have to take
Everything
out,
except the
we
credit
approve
card.
everything except the
take out
credit
the
card.
citizens. No, you have to take out the entire citizens
okay,
bank.
I'll let you find it.
Which is 42, what?
42 something. Guess let's pull that one.
It was 42.
428922.
So now sign the rest of that.
Is that why you?
Everything else has signatures on it.
That
Yeah.
doesn't.
Okay.
That-
No, we
This
didn't
says
sign
none.
that.
We didn't sign,
We
nobody
didn't sign
signed
The
that.
badge
No.
one, not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you got that number?
that's why we all
Yeah,
did it too,
I
and I
did.
just, okay.
849220.
What is it?
849220 would be the new total. Okay, move to order the treasurer to sign payroll accounts payables checks dated November 7th, 2019 is included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest is $62,008.74 for weekly and fire monthly. A supplemental payroll manifest of $175.10. An accounts payable manifest of $8,492.20. And John Stark's regional accounts payable manifest of $250,000 for a total of $320,676.04. As there's no selectmen's meeting scheduled for November 11th, to further order the treasurer to sign payroll checks dated November 14th, estimated to be about $60,000. Further, to order the treasurer to sign up to the amount of $100,000 for accounts payables, including fire department's accounts payables, approved by the Board of Fire Wards that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion on the manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Why is the payables it's expected to be so high?
Because she has to pay the either retirement or health trust.
Okay,
One of them has to be
Okay.
included in that,
it's one of them.
because you have to pay it.
Right. And for those interested, the reason we pulled the credit card one out is because the town purchasing policy was not followed to our best knowledge. So, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Did you send it down to be signed?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
Jan's got it right now.
What did you get for the total?
84,
849220?
yeah.
8,492.20, is that what
Yeah.
she's looking for?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm crossing that out.
Yep, yep, that was.
Because
the
everybody's
template.
signing it, and I'm not signing it,
Right.
if it's like that.
Did I already hand it down?
What's
Yeah,
that?
it's been signed.
No, did I already hand down the
Yeah, you gave
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
gave it.
Yeah,
give
he
it to
handed it to me, I
Okay.
handed it.
I'm gonna send down the, we got our, the warrant was printed today.
okay.
So it's sitting right here if you really care to look at it or find your tax bill. There you go. Okay, then I'm gonna also tax your mind.
Uh-oh.
So the gentleman, purchased the property down by the South Weare Fire Station.
Yes.
Okay, back in 1991, October, good night, Peter. On October of 1991, there was an agreement made between the gentleman of the property and the town of Weare. He issued a license to maintain and use for a period of 1 year a parcel of land owned by the licensor, which was Emo Busier, who's no longer with us, that abuts the South Weare Station, further identified as Lot 150, Tax Map 411, Tax Records, Town of Weare. The license is granted to the Town of Weare for the purpose of the use, maintenance, access to, and support of premises of the Town of Weare currently utilized by the Town of Weare Fire Department. The license granted herein shall expire upon 30 days' notice by the licensor, which is Mr. Busier, at which time the licensee, which is us, shall return the property to possession of the licensor without damage to said property. During the term of the license, the licensee shall be responsible for the use and proper maintenance of the property. This licensee grants authority to licensee to maintain and utilize said property in a manner consistent with the terms. The initial term of the lease should be for 1 year. So basically, what we need to do, it says it's agreed that the term and condition of the license is that the written licensing agreement not be recorded with the Registry of Deeds, and the recording of the document will automatically void the agreement. So, this has surfaced now, as Mr. Mulholland is looking at doing something with the property. So he wrote a letter to the board. Says, as the current owner of map 411 lot 50, I hereby revoke the license agreement between Emo Bussier and the town, see attached license. So we need to, I guess, agree to revoke the license as well, or else he's kind of stuck.
Which is fine, but where is the property lines and all that?
Right.
As far as, because the way I understood it is, and this was always the way I just verbally understood it, was as soon as you pull off a pavement,
Okay.
you're not on town property anymore. So even when you pull up next to the station, you're not on town property anymore.
Okay, if you'd like Mr., he lives right there, I can get him to come over. He needs it solved, so.
Well, no, I just, do we have something that shows the lot lines?
Well, there was a subdivision done a long time ago, and there was a lot line, not a lot line adjustment, there was a, site plan review done prior to him buying it. It's been bought and sold several times. I mean, I can have him come over if you'd like.
No,
No,
my only
I think
thing
there was
is,
an adjustment there
Right,
at some
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
There was an adjustment done
Well-
back, what was it, like
that's what I'm saying.
a
'Cause
dozen years ago?
all of a sudden,
I
if
think?
we revoke
guessing.
it,
It
yeah.
was just
We
before the
have it.
planning board.
It was only good till 92 anyway.
Yeah, so.
Well, I
It was
don't,
done 1991, the
I
Board of
remember the
Selectmen
guy
did it
won
with
They
him,
gave it out
and it was
to
good for
council.
until 1992.
I'm not saying that I don't disagree with us revoking it, but I'm just thinking that we ought to know exactly what we're revoking as far as this
You're
property
revoking-
usage.
Has he
Well, that's-
surveyed, has he
And-
already
and-
surveyed that?
Well, that's why, I mean, he said he wouldn't mind coming over. I'm
No,
not.
like I said, what I'm, is if now we can't park on that lot anymore, that's detrimental to us. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think we need him to come over here. I just want to make sure that whatever we agree to here, as far as revoking it,
gonna lose.
is we're not going to
The
be,
right to-
next thing you know, our generator's not on our property, our propane tank's on our property, et cetera. I just want to make sure of that first.
Okay.
I know, I mean, I know Mr. Mulholland personally, and I know that he wouldn't, tell us to toss us off of it, in on day two, but
Somebody
I'm just
might.
saying that, let's make sure before we sign anything or make any motions here.
Exactly.
That must have surfaced during the purchase of the property,
It did.
I'm sure it did.
so
Because I think the.
that's all one, so in other words, that piece that was sold is all one lot, so,
It abuts right up against the fire house, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
I
does.
think it butts right up to it, is what I was told.
It does.
So there's no room to walk around one side of that building. I think,
Is there anything now that might
I
be?
mean, I think it'd be nice if you could have something written up so you
Is there anything
have
on that
some
side?
leeway there, if it's at all possible.
No, just
Lot line
parking right now.
adjustment or
Yeah,
something
and the
done.
generator.
Okay.
And we pile snow out
So-
there and,
So that's his piece right there, the yellow. Our piece is right there.
that's what I was trying to bring up on mine.
Our piece is 188. I just highlighted it in yellow. I don't know, the tax map doesn't give you any property lines.
but
That's why I said, did he
they've
have
got it
a
marked as
survey?
two separate parcels.
There must be
So-
something in the,
They've got it marked as two separate
Oh.
parcels for the tax map.
Yeah, there is two separate parcels.
Okay.
Can I see it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because this thing.
I highlighted the
This
yellow.
isn't
The yellow is the town, that's the fire station.
797 is the fire station.
You see it's right there in the corner by Ridgeview. He's 411-150.
Right.
He's where?
He's 411, 150. It's this one
Oh,
over here.
there.
Yeah.
oh, is it in
Yes,
that?
Yeah, he's this one,
You
yeah.
see, he's right up, I mean, I don't know how much room you got there, but
I mean, we know the building's not right there. That's not
that's
the
not
building.
right.
Right.
No.
But,
I don't know. I think you want to make sure before you sign off on anything.
well, it's already, I mean, by the sounds of it, it's already out the door because it was only good for a year.
Yep.
Oh,
It was only good for a year when he wrote it.
Yep.
So,
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know when, I don't know how we found it if it's not recorded.
I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, would he maybe consider a lot line
Isn't it
adjustment
mute
there?
anyway?
Well, I would say that it's.
It's mute anyways, by the sounds of it.
moot, yeah. So
Right, I
Only-
mean, why
only
do we
good
have
for
to
1
sign
year.
anything?
It's all done.
It's expired.
It's expired, well,
But
he
he
wants
wants,
to sign
he wants to
off.
take it off the books, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
So I'll make a motion that we
The
He's
registry?
looking to revoke it,
Yeah.
revoke the, what do you call it?
Agreement?
the license
The
agreement.
license agreement for,
See, he wrote it right there.
license agreement for map 411 lot 150 between Emil Bussier and the town on October 16th, 1991.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Me too.
All right, so there's 3 in favor.
Yep, 2 abstentions. And that brings me to the next point of, I think we need to go find the pins on our property. Again, just so we all
It
know
was surveyed, not by him, I don't think.
who's where and what's going
Yeah.
on.
It was surveyed before, because I remember I did the planning board part when it came before for a site plan, there was a surveyor involved.
All right, I mean, because personally, I don't know of any pins I can see out there,
Yep.
so.
There's
I'd
gotta be some-
rather
There's gotta be
establish,
some marker somewhere.
well, I know that there's gotta be, I just wanna make sure. Like I said, and I know Keith, and he's a great guy. And I don't think he's just looking to clear legally, and I get that, I 100% understand that, but, you know, I think for our best interest of both of us, I think we should know where the line is.
Yep. Well, he came in with a plan before.
Because he
the
kind
plan-
of wraps, his property kind of wraps around.
He's been to the planning board with that, so just
Yeah.
not too
No,
long
and
ago,
that's-
so
like I said-
there's a plan
Does it
on
wrap
file.
around though, or is the guy
Well,
from
but-
Ridgeview behind?
It's.
Well,
part of it.
he's the stone wall behind, which is fine, but isn't,
It runs right up against the,
it runs right up against it on the.
On the south, on
There
the-
was a tree and a stump, and we could have taken it out in 91, but we didn't, and then it fell down, and, you know, like I said, I just want to make sure that
No, I lost it.
what we're mowing's ours to mow.
Yeah. Click for the menu. Because I don't know that we wrapped around it, you know what I'm saying?
I thought it would.
Well,
Goes down, it
no,
drops.
I think, like I said, I think it's my lot line concern is the one that's closest to 114.
Yeah,
Is
there's
that
also-
one that's kind of got the jog in it.
There was also a thing in
it's
there
gotta get the
for, to
jogging
put a
distance.
house in there, that guy that was gonna put log cabins and sale was also gonna put
Yeah.
a place in there, so. South.
No, that's, I know we go up to Ridgeview and 114. I know that where the leach field is definitely on ours.
It's
I'm talking the one that's closer to the south side. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a definitive jog in it.
It's
the definitive
definitely
jog,
got
and
a
I
problem.
think
Yeah, and
that,
he's got it looks like from the tax map, there's 290 feet of frontage,
right.
Yep.
where there's also probably a current subdivision of when you wind up around Ridgeview, there's a house, and then there's these lots here.
Yep.
Because those are 2 fairly new houses on Ridgeview.
Right.
So you probably can grab the back
There's a
pins
stone
from
wall
those.
up on the top of the hill. I don't know if that was,
But you can probably grab the back pins
Yeah.
They're back
from that
ends.
subdivision, and then the one that,
walk it down the hill.
and then I don't know, going
I
up the
thought it
hill
was
to your
the
left.
front south corner was the issue.
No, I'm thinking, well, there's,
114 where the trailers were parked.
from the road,
Modular homes were
it goes
parked
up,
during the winter.
it goes up and it jogs.
Right.
And I don't know where this corner is.
Yeah.
And it
yeah, I know what
drops.
you're saying.
That's my biggest
And
thing.
it
Yeah.
drops off into an awful
Yeah, 'cause
gully
it
in the
goes
back
up and
there.
over.
Oh, yeah, it's a wicked
Yeah.
ditch out back, yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
to caveat that, the other thing is probably wouldn't hurt to do East Ware at the same time, East Ware Fire Station. Because that is
That's setting
that
out
is
a
a
postage
cookie.
stamp.
That is a postage stamp. And, as of now, everything's been good.
Yeah.
If that property changes hands, things could
Yep.
change. And then, that's the only other property I can really think of that's really a
Yeah,
postage stamp type
that's-
thing.
That really is, that's always been that way.
I think the Lakeview station, I could be wrong, the Lakeview station was a postage stamp, but that wasn't even owned by the town, I don't think.
Right.
That ended up going back to the homeowner.
Opened.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was,
kind of like a
Chat.
indefinite lease.
indefinite lease
Until
as
we
long
didn't want
as,
it.
until we gave
Yeah.
it up, yeah.
Right. So,
All right, so both of them, they probably can, just try, I don't know about the East Ware one, but I do know there's probably some current ones between the Ridgeview subdivision and that other
Right.
one that was surveyed.
right, I'm just, like I said, I'm just thinking we start piling snow in the wrong place and,
I just, for some reason, thought back about
Especially now if it's being
12,
sold.
15 years
Right.
ago, that somebody that owned that, I remember a conversation that they were gonna give 10 feet or some
Right.
lot adjustment there, line adjustment on that.
I think they were gonna take the jog out and just make it a
I
straight
don't know if it
shot.
ever happened, but I
I,
could,
it never, it never did.
have the log
It never
cabin
did.
business there.
Not to my knowledge.
No, it's been somebody beyond the log cabin.
Huh?
There was
Yeah.
somebody at, I think there's been at least 2 owners since the log
Yeah,
cabin.
2 or 3,
We
so.
should have bought it.
Oh, absolutely.
Town of Ware should have bought it.
Kind of where should bought that a long
Because
time
if
ago and
down the road you
redone the
want
whole
to-
station.
yeah,
Yeah,
at
and
some
I think
point
they
you may want
offered
to,
it,
and
too.
as the
Oh, yeah.
town grows,
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know exactly what it went for, but I've heard.
not a lot.
No.
Right.
Well, and I think, you know, again, rumor mill, I think it was offered to the town many moons ago.
Yeah, for six
Many
figures.
moons, yeah, right.
For a 6-figure number, I think it went for a 5-figure number.
Oh, I know it did, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
I'll just make the statement that if you're worried about mowing lawn, by your personal property, you can go right ahead and mow across the property line, it's fine.
I don't know what she's,
I know what she's referencing.
I know what she's bargaining for,
No.
but.
So, yeah.
Anyways,
Want more exercise?
All right,
not gonna waste my gas.
yes, I will,
Your report.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh, wait.
We'll do the government building one first. So Tom Miller and I spoke this morning. I tried to get the numbers for you guys for today, but he said that he gave it to his secretary to type. She called in sick, so he couldn't get it to me today. So unfortunately.
You'll have it the next meeting.
Well, I told him I wanted it by next week, not telling him we weren't meeting. So.
Right.
Other than that, I think we addressed the only one thing I wanted to, which was number 11, because that came to me yesterday. And I did go look at it. And I think it's the right way to do it. The only thing, you know, I think there's a real concern by throwing any gate up because of all the funding that was put in for all, the taxpayers put money in, all the different organizations put money in. I just think putting a gate is not,
No.
but I know there was a gate there. There was a gate there a long time ago.
I
I
could,
think it's the old
Well, I
gate.
I
think
could
you're gonna
see-
wanna have a gate though, because you're gonna wanna secure
Well-
that pit, so people aren't in there if he's got equipment down there, right?
Even if
Yeah.
even if it's something that we can be removed later.
yeah, or leave unlocked at a certain later time, but he's got equipment in there, he's got rental equipment. Somebody goes in and decides to target practice, and target practices on that rental equipment.
Next thing you know, here
We're
we are
gonna
paying
own
the
it.
bill.
The
Yeah.
town might, I mean, the town might have more of a liability if it wasn't gated off and on.
Yeah,
You know, if you're worried about somebody getting into destroying town property and whatnot, we ought to probably get a padlock back on the gate down in the town sheds. That hasn't had a padlock on it for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
you mean when they close it,
I thought,
No, I don't believe there's still a padlock on that
I
gate.
thought there was, but okay.
Wasn't the last I knew.
I've been locking something. What am I locking?
Well, maybe if there's a gate, if there's a padlock there,
Well, in the last 2 or 3 years, I have been locking.
right.
Yeah.
We ought to make sure
When the
that
frost
one.
comes and pushes those posts around, though, that's a different story.
I know.
Yeah. You can't. They don't line up.
All right, so that's the only 2 things that I've got to add to that list.
Okay.
Okay.
The other list, there's only a couple things I really added, which, first of all, I'm gonna just hop down. We're still gonna push forward on the 16th with the auction. There is obviously information out there, signs have been put out there. I did notice a couple of them are down. So I don't know how we'll handle that. Whether they've been taken down intentionally or maliciously. So the auction's gonna continue. 11, next time you're gonna see the fire department and the library together. I had told you the library was coming in tonight, but I don't think they wanted to go to the trustees first,
Okay.
which is this week. Then you're gonna see Benji with all of his, and then Beth and I will finish out with all the small budgets and the wages and benefits on 12/2.
Okay.
Radio communication, like I told you, I had the map all plotted. I think I'm gonna have Wendy print a couple of them, because C2's asked for one.
Okay.
And then Sean tentatively has set up this as a follow-up date. 11/19 at 2 o'clock is the radio follow-up from last time when we were here. It's tentative, so let me get that finalized first.
No, there's something else on the schedule on 19th, I just saw it.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was.
All right, well, it's tentative, but we could talk,
Okay.
because I have to get a hold of C2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Police negotiations, you have it on your calendar for Friday, this Friday, 2 o'clock, you two?
Yep.
We've already talked. And other than that, I would like non-public after, trying to think, A and C.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. Correspondence, other business. We are definitely in fall. DPW still planning on doing the doghouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think, with trying to get
Yeah,
everything
in the
on
winter
board,
sand and.
waiting for the, new guy.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
Benji's been mechanicking, so.
Okay, yep, yeah, a couple setbacks, I figured.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I just wanna make sure that was still on the radar.
That's, to my knowledge, I haven't been
Okay.
told differently.
Yep. Any correspondence from anybody? No?
I think we had,
I don't think I got anything this week either.
I haven't seen anything,
Okay.
other than just yesterday,
Yeah,
when you sent me that picture.
yeah, just the
I
east
did go
where,
out and look.
East Road Gate, that's all, so. Alright, move to go on non-public under RSA 91A3 or Roman numeral 2, A and C. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll be adjourning afterwards. Thank you.